This is the Sentinel Core by Sanctuary Systems, and it's a CM5, so Raspberry Pi Compute Module 5 carrier board that turns your Raspberry Pi into a desktop-size mini ITX mainboard. And that is really cool, because that way you can use your Raspberry Pi in normal ITX cases or ATX or whatever. So the creator just used the original schematic for the official Raspberry Pi Compute Module 5 carrier board, and he just resized it and replaced the M2 slot for NVMe SSDs with a full-size PCIe connector, so you can use all sorts of graphics cards for gaming, video decoding, or large language models. So for the AI community, it's a pretty big deal. But not that big, because connecting a full-size GPU to your Raspberry Pi has been a thing for many years, and you can do it with other carrier boards or add-ons. You do not have to use this one, but it's just really practical because you can use the graphics cards in normal cases. It's essentially just a ITX board that fits in every case. Also, what's really special about it, it does not get the power via USB-C like most carrier boards, but with a ATX connector. So you can use a normal power supply. That further implies that you can use it in a full-size PC case. You also got plenty of I/O, like not the normal PC mainboard level, but it's plenty. But keep in mind, most of this I/O is also on the normal Raspberry Pi CM5 carrier board. So we got a gigabit Ethernet. Also you got PoE, which is also on the normal Raspberry Pi. Then you got one USB 2.0 Type-C port, and over that you can also program it, which I think is really cool. Then you got two USB 3.0s, that's this packet right there. Then you got the full 40-pin Raspberry Pi header, which is also on the original carrier board, and two HDMIs. Also, you got pins for power switches, etc., and a CMOS battery, which I think is pretty cool. Also, you got both of the camera ports, which is also really cool, but in a normal desktop PC case, I don't know why to use them. Also, a 12-volt input, as I said, over the 24-pin ATX, and right there, the PCIe socket, which is a one-lane PCIe 2.0 connector, and it says on the website it's PCIe 3.0 unofficially supported. I wouldn't really say that. Let's just say it's PCIe 2.0, and sadly you have no M2 slots, so you can't use NVMe SSDs. But you have to rely on the eMMC. You can get it up to 64 gigabytes or use external drives. You could also use a PCIe card to put in the PCIe connector, but that would defeat the whole purpose, because I think it's pretty clear that this is designed for graphics cards. And sadly, because it's just one lane, you can only use one graphics card, and you can't split it to a M2 SSD because it's essentially just one lane and you can't have devices running on half a lane. Because of this, also a nice thing to have would be a SD card slot. Because there's no M2 slot anymore, you have to rely on external drives, PCIe cards, but they would probably work because you have a GPU plugged in, or the eMMC storage. So a SD card slot would be nice. You can see the whole thing is designed in KiCad, and there's a lot of dead space, just because it had to be resized, and the normal carrier board is pretty compact. So by resizing it, there's a lot of dead space. Also, on the board itself is British heritage, Dutch vision, and German manufacturing. But if you dig a little deeper, you find out that it's being produced in Croatia by Soldered Electronics. But you have to say the whole thing is open source, so that's a nice thing. Also, on the product pictures, it looks like the I/O shield is 3D printed, which is not a bad thing, but one out of metal would look really cool and wouldn't be too expensive because it's just pressed sheet metal. So overall, it's just a resized carrier board from the Raspberry Pi Foundation, which is not a bad thing considering it's a Raspberry Pi in the form factor of a desktop PC, which is freaking cool. Right now it costs $129 US, and for that I think they could have made a bit more features, because the original carrier board is about $20, which is way cheaper, and you have the same features, if not more, besides the PCIe slot. For the funding, they wanted $1,250 US, and with 7 backers, they got 1,850. So a lot more than they actually wanted. So I think it will be released, and maybe I will get it. But if you want me to test this board, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. It would really help me out. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm out. Bye.